All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having a good start to your week here. If you guys don't know me, my name is John or Johnny. You can go by either or. And today we're going to be focusing and talking about the ABC strategy, which is the main strategy that I trade. We do this all manually, and then throughout today's session, we'll be going about how I do my analysis. My thoughts on what's going on at the moment, where we could be going, and from there, throughout the entire process, you guys, today's session is going to allow you guys to ask me any questions you might have regarding the ABC method, how I view things, how I trade, and everything in between. So I look forward to this. I love doing this for you guys, and hopefully you guys take away something new from this. If you guys are new, I welcome you, and hopefully you guys learned something today. And if you guys are interested in learning more from me in the future, my YouTube channel is in the link in the description for those watching on Twitch and YouTube, as well as, if you guys are in the Discord watching here today. If you guys have any other questions, either throughout today's session or even after the session, you guys feel free to tag me in the Discord. I'll be more than willing to help you guys out as best I can. So without further ado, let's get started. First things first, what I like to do is I like to start off on the larger time frame and kind of just see what's going on here and see if we can come up with any ideas of what could be happening. We're going to be primarily focusing on, I guess, the beginning of the bear market from here, probably to the present day, maybe a little bit into the future, what could be going on or what the possibilities are. But we're just going to be focusing on this section of price action here. The first things first, the first thing I notice is that we have an A, B, C to an A, B, C to a B, and then we have a larger A, B, C to a C. Now, we do have a completed setup. The question lies, are we done or are we beginning something? You can make arguments for both. One could say that, maybe we are done here and maybe we're working on a much larger pump to the upside. Maybe to pursue new all-time highs. I don't know yet. But at the moment, we do have a clear ABC with an ABC within the C. I'll go ahead and illustrate that here in a moment. Let's see. ABC within the C. To me, this signifies a much larger completed structure and a potential much larger bottom. On the contrary, we can also argue that maybe that this is just the beginning of something. Maybe this ABC is one larger A. We're working our way up to a larger B and possibly coming down for a larger C. These are the two main points I'm looking for, or at least the two main ideas at the moment on the macro scale. You definitely could make an argument for both. It's kind of hard to kind of be on one side of this or the other. At the moment, both sides are leading up to some sort of larger pump to the upside. So regardless of how you view this, I think we're definitely on our way up to around like 30 to 30, I would say 30 to like 35K, 38K, somewhere in this region. I don't think we're going to be we could be making new all-time highs, but I kind of have to approach it as we continue this trend upward. But at the moment, that's currently how I'm viewing things. And from there, we can kind of go ahead and take a look at the smaller, or, I'd say this in air quotes, but smaller perspective, smaller time frame. AH44, hey Johnny, how are you? Doing good, my friends. Good to see you here. Hope you're having a good day. But like I said, we like to go ahead and kind of zoom in. Remember, when I say zoom in, we're going from an 8-hour to a 1 to 2 hour perspective. And from there, we can kind of break down what's going on in the process or what's going on in the middle here. As for me, like I said, we have to go ahead and assume, regardless of what structure we're looking at, that this larger setup has ended. So we're going to be primarily focusing on this section of the uptrend here and kind of see how we can go ahead and navigate through this. Let's see. Since that is the case, at the moment, I currently view what's going on here as a larger A to a B to a C. All right. And within the ABC, it's a little bit questionable how messy this is. Me personally, it looks like this is just one continuous uptrend. So I'm viewing this as a potential A to a B to a C, regardless of whether we topped out here or we go up for another high before putting in a potential much larger move, or we can come in and extend higher. I am looking for a larger drawdown regardless of what scenario does play out. But we can go ahead and talk about that here. Like I said before, this area of price action is pretty messy. It's not the ideal situation to how I trade and how I view things. But we can go ahead and try to dissect this last bit of price action here before going ahead and talking about the positions I'm in, the positions I'm looking for to take in the future. But first things first, we do have this ABC here. Now, to me, like I said, this looks like one continuous trend. Um, so I'm going to just zoom in a little bit more. Now, mind you, I don't like to go ahead and zoom in too much. Ideally, I like to stick to around a 30-minute to a 1 hour time frame. And from there, I will mostly, well, actually, regardless of whether it's a 30-minute, hour, 2 hour, I zoom out as far as I can. I try not to go anywhere past or anywhere smaller than a 30-minute time frame. And even still, I've seen people, I'm not trying to pick on anyone, but I've seen people go to an hour time frame, zoom in like this and ask me, what do you think about this setup here, this ABC, or what about this ABC? And to me, this is too small of a perspective for me to trade. So, when I zoom out on a 1 hour and kind of look at all this, do I see a significant break in trend? Not really. You could make the argument, which at the moment I am currently holding a short position off of this ABC, just because of how the separation in trend has I would say the separation in trend is more pronounced here than it is throughout this entirety of how this section of price action has been developing. So for me personally, I'm viewing this as an A to a B to a C. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the strategy, it's pretty straightforward. It's the actual recognition, being able to recognize and understand the setups is a little bit hard for some people, and it's a little bit of acquired skill. You do have to practice that somewhat, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Pretty much all we're doing is we're looking for either reversals or continuations of larger trends. All right. And then we do that by either looking from an ABC on an uptrend in the category of threes, or we could take a larger trend, break it up into a smaller ABC, and from there all we're doing is basically waiting for price to get back below the pivot of the A. We're going to go ahead and short and get back below, and ideally look for a reversal. Vice versa with the long position. If we're looking for a ABC to the downside or a bullish setup, that's usually what I would refer to as. We have an A to a B to a C, and basically once price gets back below the A, we're waiting for price to come back above and hopefully put in a much larger reversal or a continuation of the larger trend. I'll go ahead and go over the differences between both here shortly, but let me just show you guys the positions I'm currently in and what I'm currently looking for. Now, at the moment, we do have an identified ABC short setup here. So currently, I'm shorting as long as price is below. I have to get a little bit more exact, but around that $24,000 level. It's based on the peak of this A. Oh, see, I was a little bit off there. Let's see. It's actually 23,970. That's the setup I'm looking for at the moment, or I'm currently holding. And as long as price is below there, we do have there is a sign of weakness to be I would say there's definitely signs of weakness that we can see. Ideally, in this case scenario, I would like to see this turn into a much larger A to a B to a C, larger ABC pullback. And then we can go ahead and take a long position off of this setup. Regardless of how far this drops, I would like to see a clear ABC setup before we go ahead and try to continue higher. Now, that's an example of a continuation setup. I'll go ahead and go over other examples, but ideally at the moment, that's what we're currently looking for. I'm also still holding a long position from down here off of this ABC. And, like I said, to be honest, I'll discuss this more when it comes to continuation setups, but at the moment, I do not like to let go of positions, especially from larger pivots, unless I have a clear signal of a sign of continuation. Now, for me, in this case, we have an ABC long setup, all right? And I would need to find another ABC long setup with a clear separation and trend on a similar perspective. Ideally, with a similar size as the previous one, but doesn't necessarily have to happen. I guess I will negotiate or I will see. It really depends on the size of how this develops. Obviously, I won't go to too small of a time frame to try to take that reversal, but I will compromise when it comes to the size or how if it's equal or less than the previous setup that we took the position on. But obviously, it comes down to perspective and time frame, and I will not sacrifice a smaller time frame to try to catch um, the smaller entries, just because those entries aren't as solidified as the larger ones that we view or the larger ones we look to trade. Just in my opinion and how we've been doing things. But yeah, I pretty much am just waiting for that setup to form before I can go ahead and take another long position and take profit on the previous position that we're in. So yeah, so at the moment, that's what I'm currently looking for. Maybe just go over quick for you guys who are might be new to this to show you what a reversal versus a continuation setup is. Probably one of the best examples that I like to go back to, over the past year or so, is basically the top of the bull market. I'm sorry, yeah, the top of the bull market. We were able to short the top, and this is the position I did take, and I held for a while. Unfortunately, I was not using the continuation method at the time, but I took profit based off of local supports. But what I found over the past year or so doing this, or last couple of years, is that the continuation method offers I guess I would say different layers of benefits. One is how you go ahead and go about this is once you find a reversal, all you're doing is going ahead is you're looking for a continuation. Now, what a continuation is if you're taking a short setup, all you're doing is trying to look for similar short setups on a similar perspective. And all you're going to do is basically take profit. We're going to use this line to signify the entry of the position. We're going to go ahead and take profit, re-enter here. All right. What this does is a couple things. One, it gives you an extra layer of confluence, an extra layer of confidence to go ahead and try to catch the continuation of the downtrend, as well as it gives you an extra layer of security when it comes to taking profit and locking in whatever profits you made from here. Because worst case scenario, we don't know if price is going to respect this ABC. If we just continue to pump up and let's say we never put in that reversal, at the end of the day, we're still able to walk away with some profit. That's the main purpose of why I do this, is because a lot of the times, um, you know, people will ask me, "Hey, why don't you take profit at the bottom? Why do you wait for a continuation setup? We have areas of support. Why don't you just go ahead, take profit and re-enter accordingly?" The problem with that is that we don't know if price is going to ever put in another setup, or at least allow you to take another setup to play into continuation. Um, yes, you can argue that you can get a bigger swing out of the market that way. But for me personally, you can take the gains that you made from the previous position and compound them into the next one and basically just add more to your position while doing so logically, in a logical sense, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, for me personally, I use the continuation method um, to go ahead and try to maximize the amount of potential we can make throughout the course of a larger trend. And then all you're going to do is just look for either similar setups or setups that might be a little bit larger. Like in this case, this setup was larger than the previous. So we're going to go ahead and take profit, re-enter, and just keep doing it over. Just keep doing it until we just can't do it anymore. And basically, what this allows you to do is to basically get the most out of the bear market. Now we did have an ABC on this one, but I took the ABC off of the C wave and then re-enter here, and I did take this one as well. And then I took profit off of this setup here. And unfortunately, ever since then, I haven't had a clear short setup to take. Well, there's a couple I've taken. I took this one. I also took this one up here. I'll go ahead and illustrate that. We did lose a couple times, but you know what? That's part of the game. And luckily, we were able to lock in profits from the previous short position. So for me, at the end of the day, we took that one, and we also took this one as well. but we still walked away net positive. Um, so it's fantastic to see that at the moment, even though it did not work for the pump up here, we were able to capitalize on the long position, and now we all have to do is just wait. And vice versa when it comes into going ahead and taking advantage of the bull market. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the same thing, but just the opposite. We have a original long position from down here. All right. And all we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for larger ABC pullbacks. And then we're just going to take profit, re-enter, try to catch the next wave up. Same thing. Hopefully we can get another one. Just as an example, but hopefully we can get a much larger pump and just keep doing that over and over until we just can't anymore. And then also try to play reversals and try to take advantage of a larger potential move. Just in case, like I said from the beginning, just in case that, we might pump up to 35K, 36K, and then continue down lower. But yeah, that's pretty much yeah, that would be nice. Hopefully, an ideal situation, that'd be the best case scenario for me, regardless, just because at least, regardless of what happens, hopefully we can get a position and ride the wave in either direction. Um, let's see. Alif, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. There's a couple of guys from my channel here as well. Let's see. H44. The shorts were good in the downtrend. Did you take hedge longs on the way down? On how many did you get stopped out? And let's see. How did you decide which to take? Yeah, I did take a couple on the way down. I can show you some examples here, but it's a very similar perspective on the opposite end. I just primarily looked for larger positions, and I took them as they appeared, just in case. Like I said, we don't know what price is going to do, but at a certain point, you as price develops, you go ahead and try to ditch, or at least I go ahead and ditch certain ideas. Like in this case, if you try taking every single pivot or every single cross, you would have got destroyed. I only took here and here. Once we got a significant pullback, I waited till we got back below here. I did take this setup here, this ABC, and I basically milked this range. I mean, I did very well in this range, but I was also trading a lot more aggressively back then. But yeah, I took this trade. I took an ABC setup here. I also did take the larger one down here off of this one. But it was a quick, I might have lost once or twice here in this range, but we got a clear move to where I ditched the setup, and then I pretty much waited. I took, trying to think of which other ones I'm pretty sure I tried this one. But same thing, like I said, a lot of these positions I didn't really get caught up and chop too much. So it was a quick one and done, or maybe a two and done. But at the same time, the profits that I made on the way down outweighed the losses on the hedge positions. Trying to think of where else. I did take some setups here. Yeah, basically we're waiting for the price to come down, take liquidity off of the, like in this case for the short setup. The A comes up here, builds liquidity up in this region, comes back down, takes it, and then reverses. That's the easiest way to explain ABCs. If that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions on that, I can go ahead and try to answer. I'm not like an expert when it comes to like identifying areas of liquidity, but just based off of how ABCs work, it's very similar to how, or liquidity areas pop up into very similar areas that ABCs form. So that's one of the reasons why it works so well. Let me see. Yep, exactly. Let's see. AH. Okay, thanks. I find it very hard to decide which setups to take. At the moment, I try to play the big setups on a 4-hour time frame. Yeah, it's always good to play the larger perspective. That's going to give you the most valid areas that price is going to show you, that is going to respect, if that makes sense. If you look at, if you're trying to view things from a 5-10 minute perspective, those areas are not the ideal situation just because um, the levels aren't as, I would say, important when it comes to comparing. Well, the levels aren't as important on a 5 to 10 minute than they are on a, like a 1 to 2 hour or 4 hour time frame. But yeah, definitely a good move there, age. Um, but going back to what I was saying before, that's pretty much how we played reversals, continuations, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, or at least when it comes to BTC, we still have other coins to go over, but at the moment, ABC up here on a 30-minute time frame, right? For sure from here, as long as we're below here, we do have a lot of bullish pressure. So I honestly think if we can continue to remain lower, or remain below this level, I think we're going to at least come down and probably test around, like, I would like to see like 21K somewhere in this region be tested, possibly lower. The 8, 18.8, is that line up? 18.8. Okay, you're because like kind of like off of this area, somewhere around here, maybe. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Hey, if everything lines up, that'll be a good short position for us. And I like to, and hopefully I can catch a potential long position, even though I do say, we could drop lower. Ideally, if we can get something like this, I would go ahead and at least allow myself to take profit off of the previous long position. So, or regardless, even if we don't get that set up, I have that hedge short position up here, and basically the profits from that short will protect anything I have from the long. Um, in an ideal situation, depending on how this develops, if we don't get the setup here, I would like to see some sort of setup form down here, and then we can go ahead and take profit on that long setup and re-enter down here. But we'll see. Like I said, it really depends on where price wants to go. There's different areas. At the moment, I'm not really too concerned about how where it goes. It's more important of how the setup forms itself. That'll give me an idea of what price really wants to do. But yeah, there's different areas of support to look for. Like I said, up in this region, and then if you guys haven't heard, if you guys didn't hear it, those in the Discord, around like that high 18K mark is around the next region of support to go ahead and test if we do fail that level. Um, but yeah, that's going to be it for BTC at the moment. Let's go ahead and talk about Ethereum. Is it Ethereum? All right, so Ethereum on a larger time frame is going to. We're going to have to dissect it similarly. We do have an A to a B to a C, with a ABC within each one of these waves here. So ABC, let's see, another ABC here, ABC, and then another ABC here. Now, the same question remains as it does with BTC. Is this the end of a larger bear market, or is this only the beginning, and maybe we're due for another correction to the downside? Um, it really depends. We can make arguments for both. At the moment, we do have a clear ABC setup, and so that could indicate a sign of a potential bottom. The other side, or the other argument I could give, is that maybe we're working on an A to a B to a C. All right, and then maybe this becomes one larger A to a B to a C. At the end of the day, we'll kind of have to see how price develops. There's different areas where I'm looking to take positions on, just in case this is the option. But at the moment, like I said, this could be a very variation of what could be happening instead of maybe just bottoming out. That you always got to keep those situations in mind. So if that is the case, I need price to get back above 2030. And once you get back above 2030, I'm going to need basically a fail break of that high, and I need price to come back below, possibly retest, and then continue lower, and it's to ultimately break this low here. All right. If that is the case, if we can get that in a much larger scale, that would complete a much larger ABC swing. Oh, sorry. That would complete a much larger ABC to the downside. And to me, I would use that as confirmation for a larger bear market completing. Now, like I said, this doesn't necessarily have to happen. This is just one of the larger ideas I have from the macro time frame. We can easily just continue pumping and never actually put in that setup. Or, we could put in a larger C wave, maybe come back, do some sort of pullback like this, and then can just continue higher. Absolutely in the cards as well. Really depends on how this is going to play out. There's a lot of different varieties. And as we wait for price action to develop more, we can get more of a clear answer on what it wants to do. Um, so keeping that in mind, usually what I do is when I do these larger macro time frame analysis, I will keep pivots up. So in this case, like I said, this green line represents the larger bottom of the larger ABC that I drew, right? This red line represents the pivot of the macro A from this ABC. Okay. And so what happens in between, we can go ahead and talk and go ahead and try to, we can dissect what's going on in the in between at the moment. But for me, those two pivots are the most crucial to go ahead and test, regardless of what side. If we come up here, put in a higher high and eventually come back below, ultimately, I'm looking for a lower low past 877. In the future, if price shows us that it could be bottoming out, we'll go ahead and discuss that as it's developing. But let's go ahead and go over this area of price action here. Now, if this is going to be a larger A, and, we're working on a B to a C. This looks like a larger ABC here. All right, and the pivot of that setup is going to be around 1175, 1178 around there. So at the moment, I'm still holding a long setup from here, and kind of the same situation when it comes to BTC, or at least compared to BTC. I'm in a good position. I don't really plan on giving up this position until we have a larger ABC pivot to go ahead and show me that price wants to bottom out. If we can get that, fantastic. I'll go ahead and take profit off this position and re-enter here. Right. But that's not only until I get that clear ABC set up. So that being said, like I said, this could be the end of a B wave before coming up for a C. In an ideal scenario, we would want to get a pullback before continuing higher, so we can catch that opportunity to go ahead and take that position. Now, the other option is maybe if you go back to a little bit of a larger time frame, maybe we don't get that cross to the upside. Right? Maybe we just get something like this. Maybe this becomes one larger AB, and maybe we just come and put in a C. Right? Something very extended like this. And then we can go ahead and draw this as a larger A to a potential B to a C. And if we do get that, this would be the setup for me. I would like to see it get down to those lows. But like I said, we don't know necessarily where it's going to go. If we want to go based on this method or based on this idea, we would have to come back and cross below, at the very least, 1072. Right? If that is the case, we can focus on what is going on here to try to catch that potential swing down to the downside. Now, we did not get a lower low on here as we did with BTC. So, to me, this is a larger A to a B to a C. And within the C wave, we have an extended A, B, C here. And then, I don't want to go into the choppiness of all this just because it might be confusing for some of you. But at the moment, we're trying to catch an ABC within the larger C wave here. And for me, that's going to be on a 1 hour setup, 1 hour time frame. This is going to be the setup that we're taking at the moment. So I'm currently short off of 1684. And as long as we're below this region, we might be fighting in this region for a little bit. But as long as we're below this region, to me, it looks like we want to come down, retest certain levels before coming back up and hopefully catching the next swing up. Or, if this is a larger reversal, we can go ahead and short and just hold it all the way down. That's the beautiful part about how we do things here, is we're not too concerned about catching exact tops or bottoms. Our main job is to identify larger setups that matter and basically try to take the larger swing or try to play into the larger swing in either direction. And when using the reversal and continuation method, it's at different points or at the same time, The beautiful part is you can take two positions from two key levels and basically let them fight. In this case, a short from up here and a potential long position from down here. And then whichever wins, the winner is going to be more pronounced based on what I've seen. So that's the beauty. That's why I love doing this. That's why I love this method so much. Is that um, it allows us to play into larger swings, and you can definitely benefit, especially using this method. You can definitely benefit off of the larger potential of larger moves here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for ETH at the moment. I'll go ahead and mark these levels out for you. What's up, Scopes? Um, I think at some point, ABCs are going to be harder to trade, but you have to think from like a I guess a more simplistic mindset. The reason going back to the reason why ABCs work so well because it goes into grabbing liquidity from pivots of highs and lows. All right. And most people who like or beginner traders, or most people who are more simplistic traders, they trade breakouts. They trade of breakouts of the downs to the upside or the downside, and a lot of the times, these if you look at this from a non ABC perspective, like I said, these are potential breakouts. That's a potential breakout. This was, I mean, if you go back to BTC here, I'll use this as another example as well. Um, Come on. E exact exactly, and yep, I agree. And there's always gonna be new people coming in. There's always gonna be new people coming in, trading these basic strategies, not understanding areas of liquidity, not understanding, how market makers take money or take beginner everyone else's money kinda situation. So to me, it's gonna be very hard for ABCs to just stop working just because of that very simple idea. But yeah, eventually down the road, if things start to dwindle, if ABCs are becoming less prevalent and they don't work as well, I definitely will try to change things up. But I have a very hard time believing that's going to change anytime soon. That's just my opinion. Um, just because of like the overall mentality of how beginners trade, the herd mentality. There's gonna be always gonna be so many people trading these more I guess how I see it, these more beginner friendly strategies, which, if you guys are just learning, there's nothing wrong with learning support and resistance, understanding breakouts, understanding certain strategies. But at the end of the day, a lot of traders fail for a reason is because they follow these very similar strategies. They follow these very similar ideas that most people trade, or they come across certain indicators that most people use that, ideally are um, used in the wrong way, or they're not looked at in the proper way. Everyone thinks that, this is the way to do it. Or they also rely too much on those indicators themselves without understanding the basics. That's just my opinion. So that's the reason why I personally don't think ABCs aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Um, yeah, just the power of taking advantage. Unfortunately, this game is a give and take. In order for you to win in this game, you have to take from people, and vice versa. When you lose, people take from you. Um, but that's the beauty of a free market. That's the beauty of trading. It's the beauty of being able to do this. Is that unfortunately there is a negative. People do lose money, but at the same time, it's a game of chess. If that makes sense. Like we're outsmarting. We're basically we're viewing things from a better perspective than I would say most beginner traders. So for LTC, oh no, keep going. No, you're good. No, go for it. Go for it. ABCs.
you use before you started using ABCs? Because I remember in your last stream you spoke about, not in your last stream, but in one of your streams months ago, you spoke about it, and I asked this question, but just for like, obviously we're getting new people and in that, just to see, what you've traded before and how you've traded to get to this point.
No, that's a great question. So before ABC, I'll give you the beginning. I'll start from the beginning and work our way up to now. So when I first started, I actually started. That's how I originally started trading. I started trading support and resistance, playing ranges, playing breakouts. The very first trade I ever made was back here. You can see the lines.
Since the beginning of time.
Not that far. I've only been in this game for a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, right after so I started trading around probably like November, December. And back then I was using just like Market Cipher. I was watching a lot of Crypto Face and trying to just, use his indicator. I spent more money on the indicator than I made. I'll just say that. So it was a net negative for me. But I did take advantage of shorting the COVID dump. And pretty much all I would do is just, every single bearish signal at that time that you got on a decent time frame, like a 15 to 30 minute, it was money. So I was pretty much shorting every available bearish signal all the way down to like about here. I was like getting like chopped up in this region. So eventually I stopped. And then I came across a friend of mine. If you guys don't know who Crpyto is, definitely go ahead and check him out. He's been like a good friend and a good mentor of mine. He's like a little brother to me. But I came across him, and then he was going over basically just trading basic support and resistance. He was, identify highs and lows, try to, sell short the tops, long the bottoms, and basically, or basically you would go ahead and try to take the breakout trades of, previous highs or previous lows. And then, at some points it didn't work, but my first ever trade that I took was off of this breakout here. So basically we're trying to take every single time price got above here, we would go ahead and just take a long position, try to trade the breakout. At first I kind of used small risk, and I basically just martingale it every single time I lost. So I would risk like I had like I think like $1,000 at the time. I would risk like 1% got stopped out, 2% got stopped out, 4% got stopped out. By the time I got to like here, I was risking almost like I think it was like almost 10%, like it was like 8%, something like that. And I took a breakout trade using a very, very small stop loss, like a 0.25. And I basically rode not the entire way up, but I would say like halfway up this trend. And I took profits because I was scared because I was up. Basically, I remember I walked away with, let's see, I walked away with like almost $2,000 in profit just from this one trade, I believe. I was risking about 80, $90, on a 41 R&R. You guys could do the math on that. I believe it was $80 times 41.93. Maybe it was a little bit less. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember being at that. Maybe I took it down here, but I remember walking away with just like around $2,500. And that, I pretty much doubled my account in one trade. So ever since then, I was hooked. So at this moment, I took profit and just let it, let the position run, and eventually, identified a new high, and then identified a new low, and all we were doing is just trading ranges and trading breakouts when needed. Most of the time, we're trying to trade breakouts to the upside, but we were buying in these ranges, trying to take breakouts, and you can see it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best way to do things, but we adjusted. We took that failed, we would move it up here, and eventually it did hit. I don't remember exactly how. I know by the time I got to this range here, I don't remember every single trade, but by the time I got to this range here, I took I think it was like $2,000 to $3,000, which I had from the beginning, and I turned it into like 15,000. Um, and then from there, I sprinkled my spot buys mostly on ETH, and I just let it run. And then I took a little bit of that spot account and I used that to trade. Was same thing, pretty much trading breakouts all the way up until we got to about this range here, around like January of 2021. And then from there, I started messing around with Elliott wave theory. Um, wasn't the best Elliott wave trader, but I understood the concepts of like larger ABC pullbacks, try to identify impulse waves, use Fibonacci's and all that. So I had a basic understanding of Elliott wave, and we did decent. I took that account and I turned, I think it was like $1,000 using Elliott wave, and I turned into like, I think it was like 10 grand, something like that by the time we got up to this region. And plus mostly my spot buys were carrying me the entire way up. But I did decent. Um, and then and then from there we tried doing it again, and then things just weren't working out in this region. So we transitioned into using ABCs based off of the book. What is it called? I'll pull it up here in my Discord. Here it's called the harmonic Elliott wave, a case for modification of R and Elliott wave theory. Let's see. I'll send, if you guys are interested, I'll give you guys the link to that. But going back here, pretty much what that book calls for is, instead of trying to identify impulse waves in groups of one through five, he basically made the argument is your 1 through 5 is technically just an ABC. Something like that. And then we took that idea and created the ABC method, to where we're just focusing just on pivots instead of trying to time. So the problem with Elliott wave theory, and the problem with when it comes to even the ABC method from the original method that we learned, is that you use fibs to try to go ahead and calculate where price is going to top out and going to reverse at, or where it's going to bottom out. The problem with that is that you truly don't know how price is going to behave or how it's going to respect certain fibs. Yes, you could make an argument. There are some cases, like for example, when it comes to the ABC method, the principle of fibs was A plus B equals C, right? So basically, wherever the pullback or the pivot of the A and the B was, that's where the C would end up going to. So in this case, let's use this as an example. A, B, C. All right. So if you pull the fibs from the A to the B, all right, basically you would just aim for the 1-to-1 extension. All right. In this case, actually, no, I'm sorry. I did this wrong. It was up here. And basically wherever it pulled back to, you would have to calculate where the more logical percentage was. So let's just say the 0.441. So technically you would aim for like, what's the math on that? Let's see. Around like around the 1.55 ish fib extension. And you can see, like, it's not, there's some scenarios where it does work better than others. But the problem with this is that you're trying to predict where price is going to top out at. And you get so keen in on this level of price bottoming, or in this case, reaching this pivot, that when you don't take a position until price gets to that region. The problem is price never got to this region. And so the reason why I don't use fibs and I don't trade this way is because it sets expectations for certain price levels to be hit. And sometimes you can undercut yourself or you can overshoot. In this case, you're overshooting expectations. In some situations, let's say you're in a long position, and let's say, I don't know, let's see if I can find a good example. I'm trying to think of what's a good example. What's a good
Yeah,
example?
I remember when I started trading ABC methods, I never ever used to take one unless it hit the 61 pay level, and I missed out on so much.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the main reason why I don't use fibs when it comes to predicting. I don't My job isn't to predict where the market is going to go. My job as a trader and and for someone who uses ABCs in the way that I use it, we let the market decide where it wants to bottom out, where it wants to top out, where it wants to reverse. And from there, we use ABCs as a way to identify where markets are either getting exhausted or finding a place to continue a larger trend. So that's the beauty about how we do this is that, sometimes some people are, and this comes from a, I would say, how do I say this? This comes from a perspective of more of the masses of how some people have taught how to do things. I'm not saying, you should. It's bad to think this way. It's just natural. It's how most people come up. Um, but I try my best to kind of detrain that out of people. Is that regardless if you're using fibs or if you're using certain indicators, um, you start to form this expectation of what price is going to do, and so you're really trying to overreach and try to predict the exact move of the markets. The problem with that is, like I said before, is that even though your indicators might say this, fib targets might say, okay, it has to get to this region. At the end of the day, price never really has to do any of those things, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's how you get left out. That's how you get left in the dust. That's how you don't get good positions. Is that you set too many expectations going into certain positions, and how I do things is I base things based on true levels, based on what price levels that price gives us from the I guess not from the beginning, but what price gives us in general. I don't set expectations of where price is going to go. I basically allow price to show me where it wants to top out, where price wants to bottom out. And from there, I get myself in the best position I can, and I will let price do what it do. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, that's what I try to preach. That's what the strategy preaches,
You can
is
only trade what you
understanding.
see.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, So and that can apply to any strategy. If there's certain strategies out there that try to um, work on certain parameters based off of trying to predict future moves. I don't think that's necessarily the best way to trade. Is because for me it sets expectations, and this is something that is, if you guys aren't familiar, if you go to, I'll send you guys where to find these books. But if you go read Trading the Zone by Mark Douglas or Best Losers Win, they kind of touch on that a lot. A lot in Trading the Zone is um it's they talk about certain behaviors that us as humans do have from a I guess from a natural evolution standpoint, which in real life it's good to have, fight or flight, um basically, anxiety. Like there's certain things that we as humans be or how we behave as humans, which is fine in the real world, but when it comes to trading, it's going to hurt you. um and also going about trading in a certain way does, in the same concept, will hurt you more than it helps you. um and that's why I always tell people, please read those books, because it's gonna from their perspective, it's gonna show you guys what's important, um how the proper way to think is, and also be able to combine both the proper way of thinking as well as using good strategy, using good risk management. It's the perfect storm, the perfect recipe. Um, but yeah, that was a great question. Though, hopefully that answers that. Gives you a little bit more of an insight where I came from. But even still, even
Yeah.
with the ABC, oh, sorry, continue.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I started reading that what is it? The best
Best losers win.
best losers win. Yeah, yeah, that one. That was based on your recommendation. That's a really good read.
Yeah,
Definitely
it's a
touches
Trader
on
Tom is
all
a
the points you said, and yeah, that's really helped a lot with just the psychology of things, really, and
that's good.
figuring out how they get most traders.
Have you ever read
Exactly.
Best Winner?
No, I haven't. Who's it by?
It'd be by me when I make £1 billion, mate. So hang tight.
That was good.
Yeah, I'll read that. No worries.
All right. Let's go on
Hope you can send us all a
to
free copy.
yeah. Make sure.
No problem, no problem. All you guys have helped me get there anyway, so I have no problem sharing the wealth.
If you've got £1 billion, you won't need the bloody money.
Yeah, you won't be doing this
Um,
anymore.
I don't think I'll
Yeah.
ever stop doing this, mate. To be fair, no matter what I earn, what I lose, I don't think I'll ever stop doing it. It's so I'm
It's a
like addicted.
it's a lifestyle.
Addicted.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I fall asleep listening to
The casino.
YouTube playing. Yeah, now I do it, Johnny. Yeah, but I fall asleep
Yeah,
watching
I,
videos
um,
every single night on YouTube or anything. Every single night without fail, some trading comes on. Every single advert I've got when I play music when I'm out for the day, when adverts come on in between each song, it's all about trading. Every single advert.
Yeah, same for me. I literally passed it at my computer last night, which I can't say is healthy, but it happens.
I live on my desk.
Trading.
Or under it.
Oh, we all know that, Dave.
Oh, that's funny. All right. So
At the start of every video, you say, "Let's get over to my computer," like you haven't been there all day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's when I say, let's get away from my computer, it starts getting worrying.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So going back to LTC, pretty much LTC, I did try to take smaller ABCs on the way up. But something I talk about and something that this is a good example of sometimes it's just good to let go of certain positions just because it just gets really choppy. For example, we tried taking this ABC. It worked for a little bit. I obviously came back, stopped us out, and kind of, you would have been caught in this chop. So when it comes to situations like this, I will ditch the smaller entry and focus on the larger pivot. Now, to be honest, if we keep pumping, I might just ditch this altogether and try to find another ABC up in this region here, just because we're going to be very overextended. But at the moment, I will stick to this, and I'll probably try to take a bigger swing at this just in case this is a larger reversal. That's only if that is the case scenario. Like I said, I'll take it regardless. If I get stopped out, hopefully we can catch a long position on the way down. That'd be great. I'll go ahead and take that too and basically just let the positions fight out.
Well, we seem to be getting
yeah.
a lot of RSI bearish divergence as well. Like, and I don't know if buying pressure is really dying off or we're just accumulating more. But
No, that's a
Just-
fantastic point. I can go ahead and bring that up if you guys
Have you
want.
seen Johnny's? Have you seen Johnny's RSI, Mason?
no, I haven't. Oh, is that the
It's
125 2 hour? Or?
Yeah, it's quality.
Yeah.
Why do you use his T scopes?
Yeah, I've had a look at that. Yeah, I think it's that one. Do you have to change the MA settings as well?
No, I just take the MAs off. I take everything off except for the actual RSI, and I just change the color and change the input, obviously. So the problem is when you're looking at the RSI from the regular standard input of 14, this looks like a terrible EKG chart. Like your heart rate is all over the place. Like how the hell you're supposed to determine what's going on with this?
That's when you're in shorts and longs constantly.
Exactly. The best way to my favorite solution on how to fix this is you change the RSI from 14 to 125. All right. And what this does is this clears up the RSI and it looks a lot more like price action, but it'll give you divergences in places that matters more. So in this case, I'll give you an example here. We have a massive bullish divergence off. Well, I guess you can call this hidden bull, but you have a hidden bullish divergence here. Basically, it tapped this line here while creating lower lows, and a perfect example of what's going on now. If I go to a 2-hour, you can see here, we have a very large bearish divergence. All right, and it looks like price is just not breaking through. This is something I like to call, I guess, I try to think of a good name for it, but I basically
Johnny
call
Special.
it the ball against the window, or the ball versus the window theory. All right. How the best way to describe that theory is, imagine you take a lacrosse ball, or like a baseball, not baseball, or something that's a little bit bouncy, but that's like decently hard. All right. And let's say you're playing against
a dwarf.
what? Yeah. And let's say you pick up the ball, and let's say you see a window. All right. And let's say, you know what, I'm going to take this ball and throw it against the window and try to break it. All right. But the window itself, you don't know how thick the window is. It could be just like a single pane window, like a one at your house that's like easy to break, or it could be like an industrial grade window that's like, very thick and very hard to break. You just don't know exactly where you're going up against. So you take the ball, you throw it at the window. All right. And basically what throwing the ball at the window is creating the divergence. Okay. And what is happening is two things can happen. One, once you create the divergence, if price respects it and falls through, that's the ball breaking through the window. Okay. Or you can get the opposite, is if price creates a divergence and then creates multiple touches, that's the ball hitting the window and coming back at you. Now, when the ball comes back at you, you pick it up. It's like, why the hell didn't this ball, why the hell didn't this glass break? So you throw it harder. All right. And every single time you throw it harder, it's each tap of the divergence. All right. Each time there's another tap or another bearish divergence that creates in that same region, you're taking the ball and throwing it harder and harder. And every time you throw this ball harder, it comes back at you faster. All right. It's going to get to the point to where
like
if this
a hidden reverse bullish, like hidden bullish or something like that. In reverse.
Exactly.
Like
so
waiting to touch that 50 line or something and then come back up.
Exactly. So basically what could happen is, if that window doesn't break and the price doesn't respect that RSI, or that bearish divergence, what'll happen is, at some point you're throwing this ball like a professional baseball pitcher. You're throwing this thing 70, 80 miles an hour, and that ball is bouncing off the window and coming back at you with just as much speed. Now, it's up to you whether you can either catch it or dodge it to make sure it doesn't hit you back in the face. All right. If that ball hits you back in the face, basically what price is doing is taking that momentum that you used to throw the ball as hard as it could and using it to push it in the opposite direction. So what'll happen is, price will, if it doesn't come back down and respect this divergence and, have a harder reset in the RSI, it'll actually come up, break through, and price will have extreme momentum to the upside and basically use that to propel it to much higher highs. All right. That's something that could be going on in the process right now. We just don't know at the moment. Like I said, I use the actually, I don't think I have mentioned this, but I use the RSI as kind of like a guideline to see where we're at. I'm so well versed and so, I guess, so submerged in ABCs that I don't allow divergences and stuff to I guess steer me away or dictate the trades that I make. And that should be applied to any trading strategy that you use. You should be so submerged in it that regardless of maybe if an indicator gives you a mixed signal, or if something else from another perspective gives you a mixed signal, you're not going to let that deter you away from taking your trades, or at least making your overall decision on what you want to do. I talked about a possible, that bearish divergence propelling us to the upside, using that momentum to basically swing the opposite direction. Does that mean I'm going to take profit on my shorts? No, because at the end of the day, we just don't know where price is going to go. And like I said, I'm in a position to where I'm holding my long positions, and I have no reason to take profit on that in case there's a situation like this to where maybe we just don't get an ABC pullback and we just continue to shoot up to the upside. It's going to be unfortunate we're not going to be able to take profit, but we just don't know exactly where price is going to go.
I must say, cumulative delta volume is really good. I've found for divergence as well, and that's doing the exact opposite. That's just continuing up, and I've never seen anything like it on the daily.
Use CVD.
Cumulative delta. What's that?
I use the CVD.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I use it. I use it on a different chart though, but I use it all the time. I also use DOM as well, Defa Market.
Okay, yeah, I haven't watched a lot of your streams, but yeah, no, I noticed that's just been going up like crazy whilst we've been getting this RSI bearish divergence. So it's a bit of a hit and miss there.
All right. Let's see. Age44 asks, did you try the MACD for divergence with settings 18, 25, and 30 for the signal line? Me personally, I haven't touched MACD in a very long time, Age44. Maybe something I'll take a look at down maybe in the future, but at the moment I just don't. It just doesn't, it doesn't suit what I'm looking for. It doesn't really help me. But yeah, maybe down the line I'll take a look at it. Maybe if we could see if it could possibly do something for us. But I really it's going to be approached the same way as I approach the RSI. Is maybe I'll take a look at it to see if there's anything backing up my ideas, but I will never ever make a trading decision off of it. That's just me personally, though.
It's lagging anyway. I take signal line off me, all that off. If I've ever used MACD, I just use literally the bars, just for momentum. That's all I use it for. Have you ever tried the precision RSI? That's it's completely different to normal RSI. It measures the volume and the price and stuff, and then does an RSI line from that. That's pretty cool. I've just been looking into that.
No, I haven't tried that. I'll definitely check that out though.
Yeah, I might have a look at that.
RSI. I'm gonna write that down on my phone. Let's see. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the main 3 coins that I trade. That's gonna be BTC, LTC, ETH. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I haven't really checked the chat here. Let me just check the chat. Oh, geez, there's a lot going on. Just started the stream. How bad would it be for ask me to ask the basic rundown of how the ABC again for a newbie? I kind of went over it. Gitster, if you need me to clarify something, please let me know. But I kind of gave you like a brief rundown of like how ABCs work and why they work so well. But if you have any questions regarding that, please feel free to ask. All right, and then I'm all caught up on the YouTube and Twitch end. All right, cool. All right, so usually what I do as well is I'll go over like 1 or 2 alts. Usually I do ADA, and then I'll let you guys, if you guys have something you want me to look at, whether it's in chat or here in the Discord, I'll let you guys pick the other one. So for ADA, we're pretty much looking at now. Unfortunately, how this basically progressed was not the cleanest in my opinion. This just looks like a very wonky ABC, and then you could say that this C wave is the extended. This is what primarily I'm going off of, and you have another ABC within the C. This is what primarily what I'm going with, and so keeping that in mind, I stick to the pivots of this ABC. And at the moment, we do have this as the main pivot line. So as long as ADA is above 4016, that's a macro level for me. As you can tell, we're kind of fighting in this region right now. So I think if we get a clear break, if we get a much more continuous pump, I think we're really going to pump on ADA. Me personally, I bought some spot at 40 cents. I actually bought a little bit more at this region again, but I'm not going to sprinkle in my entire position up here just in case we do break to the upside. But I don't plan on taking any macro positions on this. If we go to a smaller time frame, this is a very similar situation to LTC. This is just garbage. I ditched this a long time ago. We did have this ABC here. All right. And then that turned into a larger ABC here. with this being an ABC. And this is the one I took. So deleting this one off the table. I took this one. I took it a couple times, but I eventually just ditched this just because of how messy this became. So hopefully we can get a clear break in structure. Hopefully to get a larger ABC pullback, you know, like it doesn't be exactly the size, but something that's significant on like a 30-minute to an hour. And hopefully we can get, you know, something going there. We can go ahead and try to ride the momentum, the continuation of the upside. But yeah, that's ideally what I'm looking for. But like I said, at the moment, we are currently fighting at that macro pivot. So just be aware we could get a significant break above that region. And so if you guys want to take macro positions, you know, if you guys are curious about macro positions, pretty much what I do with macro or swing trades is I will take the same. This is what I do on my main account. I will take these larger setups, but I will use a very extended stop loss. In this case, for 80, I'll probably use like 7%. And I'll use like a little bit. The risk is percentage wise is less, but the dollar amount is more. And I'll basically just ride this to the upside and try to get as much out of it as I can. But that's primarily how I handle my swing positions. But if you guys want to do something similar, you absolutely can. I would not suggest, you know, using a higher R&R setup just because you're more likely to get stopped out, especially at a larger pivot like this. If you call it the bottom, yes, maybe, but you know, obviously we're not there anymore. So just tread lightly when it comes to taking these positions. I would try to just aim for the bigger swing. You know, not financial advice, just you know something I would do personally. And does anybody else have any other coin they want me to look at?
Maybe AVAX.
AVAX, yeah, we do AVAX. It looks like I have looked at this before. All right, so on a larger scale, AVAX
Just because
has
of the
this.
potential bottom.
Yeah, AVAX definitely has a larger potential bottom here. We did push pretty much this pump straight through the pivot of the A. So we, as long as we're above here, we do have the potential to swing higher. Keeping that in mind, you know, focusing on what's going on now, I think what could be happening is something like this. Let's see, A, B. Yeah, I'm gonna go with A, B, C here. That's gonna be my main structure. We do have an ABC within the C. This, you know, like I said, tread lightly when it comes to these. Ideally, if you want to get into AVAX and try to ride it to the upside, you know, we got to look for a decently, not significant, but a decently sized ABC. Something I would say something maybe at the lowest, something like this, to where we can possibly, you know, put in reversal and try to continue higher. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah,
though,
I was
but
lucky enough to catch the bottom of that, so I'm still in a long position on that one, but won't take
cool.
profit
Don't let
just yet.
Don't let it go. If you're in from the bottom, if you're in from down here, do not let that go, because you have a lot of bullish confirmation backing you up right now. So, you know, like I said, I try to make the most out of the market. If you get a significant, you know, this, like I said, this goes back to the continuation method. If you get a significant pullback, then yes, I would go ahead and, you know, me personally, I would take profit and try to take the next position. But like I said, it really depends if, you know, we might not even get that set up. If we don't get that set up, just hold it.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar with that, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the position I'm in. But if it does flip back bearish, might put in, yeah, that might turn that, I don't know, that C into almost a larger A.
Yeah, that's possible. What's up, Scopes?
Do you ever look into news or anything like that, or anything like that, like news, or follow any like the developments of cryptos or like that whilst you're trading, or do you just primarily trade like as soon as you see an ABC?
No, I mostly go off of charts. You know, I'm aware that like some larger news, like when it comes to like you know, like last week, like the FOMC, that kind of like, you know, got prices moving a little bit, you know, sparked a little volatility. I know stuff like that does have an effect, but to me personally, it does. I don't I don't allow it to affect my trading decisions, if anything. Like I will keep it in mind, I will keep it in consideration. I just really don't. It doesn't really do much for me.
If you know that there's big news event coming, would you open a trade still, or would you wait until it's blown over, or what? Because for me, if I'm in a trade already, I will stay in that trade. A lot of people don't trade. I will stay in that. If I'm in the trade already, I'll stay in it. I won't try and take another position if I'm not in one and the news is about to come open. But if I'm in one, I'll leave it run, see what happens.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I'm in a position already, I'll let it run. I won't take it off the table if news is coming. But if I'm not in a position and news comes and it puts in an opportunity for me, I will take it regardless of what's going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man.
All right. So we got the cryptos out of the way. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on what's going on. So if I missed anything, please guys, just, I just want to make sure. Okay, I didn't miss anything on YouTube. Yeah, hopefully I don't miss any questions. But I'm sure someone will let me know if that's the case. There's a couple things we're gonna go over when it comes to traditional markets, just because it does kind of either it will back up what I have to say, or when we look at the DXY, obviously DXY has inverse correlation, so it could affect how Bitcoin is behaving. But I drew this yesterday, and look what's going on. So at the moment, we do have a larger ABC to the downside. All right, or sorry, bullish ABC with the pivot being around 362.50. All right. But we also have a larger possible B wave here. Right. And the pivot to get back below is at 410. Sorry, let me be more exact for you. Oh, shit. More exact level is going to be 410.17. So as long as we're below 410.17, the S&P looks kind of bearish right now, to be honest. And this looks like this wants to become a larger AB to a C situation. So something like this. And something like that in the yellow. And if that is the case, we need to come down and break the low here at around 347.50. So yeah, I'm keeping that in mind. This could be just a pullback, but this could be the beginning of a bearish wave to the downside. So that's something I'm excited to.
Well, what do you think? Because there's all this talk of a recession at the moment or something. Yeah, I've heard a fair bit of people talking about that. Would that affect crypto, do you think, a lot, or?
Yeah, so if the S&P does drop, or a traditional, if we do, or if we are in an economic recession, I think BTC will be affected. The problem when it comes to stuff like that is a lot of the times people overshoot, if that makes sense. So like let's say when people are bullish, people are way too bullish. Or when people are bearish, a lot of the times people are way too bearish. So like people are, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not saying it like, yeah, they stick to their bias and they push a little bit too hard against it. One of the perfect examples is that, we were down in the FTX news down here on BTC. Everyone and their mother kept saying 10K, 10K, 10K. Didn't happen. I'm not saying 10K can happen, but you would have to convince a lot of people that it's not going to happen before it happens, if that makes sense. Or maybe if we do come back down, put in a lower low, maybe we'll just never touch 10K because everyone is expecting that level. It's the same thing when it comes to like how people view recessions and how people view like times of distress, or even times of higher price action, times of euphoria. People over exaggerate things. Say when it comes to like the BTC top, everyone thought when we were up here when we broke that previous high, 100K, 100K, 100K. Nope, you get an ABC with a reversal, and that was it. So that's the beautiful part. I try not to let that stuff affect me because yes, even though I am aware, there's a lot of signs pointing that we could be due for a recession. Now, does it mean it's the end of the world? No. You kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. Be aware that most of the time when people are bearish, they're a little bit too bearish. And same thing when people are bullish. When people are bullish, a lot of people are way too bullish. That's why like I'm not too worried. Like even if we do get a larger turn on the S&P, I don't, if we go back to a local like support region, If we do break 3,500, going back to previous support, there's nothing significant probably to about 3,200. And then pretty much there, you're just got nothing until we get back down to the COVID lows. I mean, do you honestly think we're going to come back down and test, 2,100 in the S&P? That's a stretch. I don't think so. I could be wrong, and I'll fall on that sword for sure. If I'm wrong on that, I'll admit I was wrong. But to be honest, maybe 3,200 we can come down and test, but it's not doomsday scenario, unless unless World War III happens. In that case, we have other things to worry about besides the price of the S&P and all that. But just for keeping that mindset, a lot of the times I'm aware that people are bearish or bullish, but a lot of the times they're too bearish and too bullish. So I don't think things are going to be as bad if we do go into a recession. I think we can definitely feel an effect of it, but I don't think it's going to get as bad as people say.
Everyone's been guilty of that, though, haven't
that.
they? Being too bearish or too bullish.
Exactly.
Oh,
sure. So the S&P is looking bearish right now, and also with the ES, ES is just the S&P mini futures. Definitely put in its ABC setup, and it's still holding below, so things are looking good from a bearish perspective. Let's take a look at the DXY because I know that's more important at the moment. So DXY on a much larger perspective, much larger time frame. Let's see. We do have a larger A to a B. Now, like this is on a 2-day scale, and this is going back, very long time. So I'm not necessarily going to take that pivot into consideration, but I will take this pivot into consideration, right? Off of this ABC. Right. So within the C, we have its own A, B to a C. All right. And as long as we're below that 103, things are looking pretty bearish. It looks like we're kind of testing that region right now. So as of at the moment, there's a couple of days to consider as well. And we are below that ABC, but when price does start to downtrend, I will take local areas of support into consideration. One of them being this level here at about 101. As you can see, this kind of dipped below when the FOMC news came out, and we quickly got a reversal from there. We're pumping the upside. So obviously if you guys don't know, the DXY and basically all assets in general are inverse correlated. So if the dollar does well, assets do bad. If the dollar does bad, assets do well. So we could have a little bit more room to the upside. If we break above that, it doesn't necessarily go to switch a bias for me. I just need to see price either put in its own ABC at a higher point, something like that, or we come back down and maintain below 104, or what is that, 103.91 technically. Yeah, 103.91, 104, based off of this pivot back here. If I can find it. It's a long way to go. It won't even load. There we go. Off of this pivot. Be exact, 103.85. So
yeah, it's going to
as long
suck
as
for
we're
Australians if that comes down.
oh yeah. So this keep that in mind. As long as we're below there, as well as this area. I think this is temporary support. I don't think this is going to be a actual major level of support in my opinion. But I think it's a good area to bounce off of. I think we're gonna come up and possibly test this area of resistance. Maybe we come up, put it in its own ABC, and then continue downward. Let's see. Comes to gold and silver. All right, interesting. Gold on a larger. I'm not even gonna do it because I know Scope's gonna make fun of me for it again. I'm just gonna say that we're gonna focus on this area of price action, even though we do have this larger ABC here. To me, the pivot of that is going to be at around 2086. We did cross the pivot at this macro A level here, all right, off of this larger ABC. Like I said, I'm not going to say it. You guys can figure it out. It's a very, 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 very large scale ABC.
It's the beginning of time.
That's the beginning of time. So keep that in mind. We are going to fight in this region. This is more of an area than an exact level for me. So, even though gold is dropping, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the tipping point. I think we're probably going to come up for a pullback. This could also be a tipping point as well. I could be dead wrong on that. We could do something like this. AB to maybe an AB to a C, something like this. Is that as the
It's
case?
got
I
to
need to
keep
see.
going up. It never hasn't, really.
Exactly. That's why I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, 1614 is a good pivot in case we do continue downward. But if anything, that's just an area for it to bounce, in my opinion. And that's going to complete a much larger ABC, something like this. Something like that. So keep an eye on that. Those are the main pivots to maintain if we can maintain a below 1919. We're probably gonna come down and test 1618, or maybe if we pull back, we definitely can come up higher and test that 2080. All right, and that's pretty much it for gold. Silver, let's see how silver's doing. All right, silver is in a very similar situation. Looks like silver wants to, at the very least, come down and do something like this. All right, if that level of support fails, the next level for me to go ahead and keep an eye out on is this level here. Right, and that's going to be the pivot of a much larger ABC. Something like that.
Do you think technical
Excuse me.
analysis is really as important for things like metals and like things that rely a lot more on just the way the world's running?
No, I think TA does play a role. I don't think, how do I say this? I think other outside factors can affect this more than like crypto personally, but I do think TA does play a role into stuff like this, into movements, into like what could be happening.
Yeah, I don't really follow it a lot, so I was actually just curious.
Yeah, no, I think there's like, I mean, there's certain situations like this. This is an ABC for silver. You could have taken a buy position here off of that pivot. Not saying, you know, as long as we're above, this region, you still be bullish. You know, we could be doing something like this. A to a B to a C, putting that lower low somewhere and continue higher. Could be just a pullback. But silver respects ABCs decently. But I would mostly focus on a larger time frame when it comes to metals. Just me personally, though. And did I touch on everything? Oh yeah. Well, also another. If this is a situation for this ABC, I would need this high to be broken here before possibly reversing. If we break through and continue upward, the next region of resistance is going to be around that 49.61. And that's pretty much going to do it for silver. We're gonna is Vlad in here? All right, Vlad is in here. We're gonna do your favorite, Vlad.
Even though he
Bread
drives a
and
mini
butter.
metro, with his head hanging out at some roof.
Thank you.
You took that
So
as
for
a compliment.
BMW, so for BMW on a larger scale, looks like we might be putting in this as a larger ABC. All right, and then we could be doing something to where ultimately I want to see this pivot be tested on a larger time frame. If we go down to a smaller one and we just take this ABC off the table, we can kind of dissect the in-betweens. Let's go to maybe a daily 12 hour. All right, yeah. So if that is the case, this uptrend was the A. This ABC was the B. Oh, come on. All right, and then, you know, we're probably, I think if we keep going, which I think we possibly could, ultimately I'm looking for that pivot to go ahead and extend past 123. But that doesn't necessarily have to. If we can get back above 144, we could possibly put in an ABC here and maybe sell, maybe, have a little bit of a I wouldn't stay the end of a rally here, but it could be a early reversal. Maybe you get something like this instead. So maybe if I go back to a 2-day, maybe this is something like this. We don't know yet. So it really depends on how it behaves when it gets up above that region. If we push through, fantastic, but we can easily come back up and put in reversal and then continue much lower. So those are the main pivots for good old BMW. And yeah, that's pretty much it at the moment. Let's see. H44 says, this is for you, Scopes. Scopes, can you explain the concept of your RSI maybe in your next stream?
Which one? The precision one?
Yeah. I think that's what he's talking about.
Maybe, yeah. I'm still messing about with it, to be fair, but yeah, I will do. Or I'll just put some. I'll put some in my group for everybody to see. Obviously, it uses something else as well, but it's the signs are a bit different towards than a regular RSI.
Cool. If you guys are interested in that, if you guys are in David's group, Scopes has his own section of the channel. Let's see. Is it here? The heck is it? There you go. If you go to Smart Money with Scopes, go ahead, check him out. The Smart Money Concepts. You just use that, right? You don't use anything else.
I use there's a few that I use. There's a few that I use on there. Scopes chats. I use all three of them, but there's a few subthreads that I've put my other smart money strategies into, but they're not in use at the minute because obviously everybody's involved in these new ones at the minute. But the first ones I did, they're still there, and you can still find them.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, guys, go check out Scopes' channel inside the group. It's definitely a lot of good information here. And he's doing a good job of keeping up with it, maintaining it, and always adding new stuff. So guys, definitely go check that out. Let's go ahead and make sure I didn't miss it. Let's see. David, gotta go, Johnny. Great stream as always. Thank you, David. If you're watching the rerun, thank you. Let's see. Johnny, what is the book name again? There's the book for the Trading Psychology Night Owl, or the actual book where I learned the ABCs from. If it's the psychology ones, it's Best Losers Win by Tom Hugard. He's also Trader Tom. He's on YouTube as well. So if you just type in YouTube/Trader Tom, you should be able to find his stuff. I'll go ahead and link. Do I have that video here? I have it in my channel somewhere. Oh, maybe I don't. Thought I did. But yeah, if it's not that one, it's Trading the Zone by Mark Douglas. And also if you're looking for the ABC book, it's the Harmonic Elliott Wave, a case for modification of RN Elliott Wave theory. Let me go back and just make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or anything you want to ask regarding, my strategy, how I do things, trading in general? Now's the time to ask. All right. I think we're all good. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you guys stopping by today's session. If you guys are interested in learning more from me, I invite you to go ahead and check out my YouTube channel, which is linked in the description of this video, whether you're watching it on YouTube or Twitch. Yeah, if you guys are interested, I look forward to seeing you guys there. If you guys are also in David's group, feel free to ask me any questions you might have regarding ABCs if you guys are interested in learning this. As well as you guys, my DMs are always open. Just be aware, I always prioritize my group first. So some of my guys DM me, and sometimes I miss messages. So if I miss your message, just don't be afraid to reach out again. I apologize if I did miss it, but I usually should try my best to keep up with it. So, thanks again, guys. I appreciate all of you. Look forward to see you guys on the next one. I'll be here again next week around the same time. So yeah, look forward to seeing you guys then. If not, I invite you to come over to the channel and check out the live streams. I stream 3 times a week, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So we'll be on tomorrow around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will, after this, I'll go ahead and just set up the stream ahead of time so you guys know when to basically keep an eye out when I'm about to stream. But yeah, besides that, look forward to see you guys on the next one. I do appreciate you. You guys have a good rest of the day. Also, a good rest of the week. Until then,
Thanks, Johnny.
Take care, folks. Thank you guys so much. I do appreciate
Thanks,
it.
mate.